have to make my bed now. And what I'm going to do, there's the bed my niece had there. And people say, what's wrong with that bed? But you see the height of the feet? It's very, very thick. I don't see what size it is here. That's about... can't do everything. It's about 4.5 inches. 4.25 inches, 4 inches, 4 inches. I multiply by 4 inches, that's 8 inches. That's 4.5. Gets narrow at the top. 8.5 inches, you're losing off your bedroom. Plus, if I put it in front of the radiator, that would be 8.5 inches, another 4, 12.5 inches. So it's 12.5 inches less space I'm going to have to walk up and down. And I want to make the room maintenance free. I think going to last me the rest of my life. It's going to get damaged. So I'm going to make a plywood bed, but I have to make it so it comes out. So I'm going to use all these fixings. I'm taking the fixtures off this bed, and I'm going to do this with plywood now, and put on these fixtures. And so the bed will still be able to come apart. And when I make my own bed, it won't be as wide as that either. The bed will be the right size, but there's less lost space at the sides as well. But I'm going to reuse old wood I have. It needs to be made of plywood. I have structural plywood out there. It's not going to look great as a bed. I want to just be able to stain it. I have some stain in my shed. Stain's pretty expensive. I have stain left over in the shed. And the bits of plywood from the bed I had that I knocked down 3 years ago. But it's the one that we loosen on, we lay on. But it wasn't a bed, freestanding bed. It was built in. But this is different. This is freestanding. It makes things different. Because this bed can be approached from both sides. The last bed wasn't. So we see the wood I've got. That's my wood supply there. I throw nothing out me. But so that is the original side of the bed that I took down. And that would have been the side when I came in my bed. I've been looking at that side like so, and had a wee curtain underneath. And there was shelves and all that, so it's not stained. And there's nothing wrong with that side. That can be used and re-stained, and that's as good as the day I made it. And that's the bit there where the slats of wood would go across. But it's over-engineered, if anything. It doesn't have to be that deep. But what I had then, my old bed, I only had one side on it. I didn't have a side next to the window, because that was next to the window. This is the middle beam that I put on. I built this middle beam. No, that is the bit next to the window there. So because, to get the strength, I made it like an iron girder, H shape. Well, it's more U shape. But that's to get extra strength on it. But you don't need that now. It doesn't have to be that strong, because I'm going to use the bit off my niece's bed to be single bar. So that there is not as deep as that, but I think that is glued on. I made it too well. So if I cut that off there, that's probably deep enough for my new bed. I would get away with that depth there, and that would do one side. Cut that down narrow to match, and that'll do the other side. And that offcut I took off here will make the wee beam I need over there. This bit here would do the bottom. That's just about 2 foot high. So that would do the bottom of my bed. I think that might have been my wardrobe before. It's just over 2 feet. I haven't got wood for a headboard. There's 2 different types of plywood here. This plywood's the good stuff. See the nice grain and all that plywood. And then there's that plywood in the back. I came from Nephews. That's shite. That is real ugly quality, like. And the headboard would need to be one piece. That's more than deep enough there, but it's not high enough. Do you know what? No, I wouldn't get a side out of that. So I'm going to hook through that. There was a piece of a shelf there. So I had shelves and I'm holding the projector on, you see. But if it means buying a new piece of wood for the headboard, that's a nice wee piece there. And this is what I do. That's why I like plywood. You don't throw plywood out. Plywood, the good quality stuff, like it's hard to get good quality stuff now. See there, the wee air gap. So I'm going to hook through here, see if I can get enough. See, the last bed didn't have a headboard. It had 3 opening doors, which is probably still in there, you know. And the other thing is, I can make it so There's the remote control for my curtains and that. So there was 3 doors. There's the doors are all still in there. So if I was the, I could maybe, I don't know, I'm going to hook out as much plywood as I can. But say there's that cheap plywood there. You wouldn't use that shite there. Not for furniture, like. That was a nephew had that. That's a good piece there, you know. So I need to get all the plywood out and see what I have in plywood. The best of it is, I used to have legs of tables a lot of years ago. I kept them, tripped them, cut them up and burnt them. See if I had them now, I could use them for this bed. So I'll see what I'll sort out this plywood. And the thing is, the whole idea, once my shed's started, once my house is sorted out, but wood's left then I'm going to dump, because I'm not doing many more projects. But all this wood was just, that's left over from my old room as well. So when I demolished my old room, I put all the wood in here. There's, I have a brand new sheet there of that reinforced stuff. That would have done there, but I don't think that's, although it's not outside, it's like an old wax or something on it. I can't see that taking stain right. It's that's face difference. It's like there's something painted on it. I don't know, but there's like water. It doesn't soak up water, so it wouldn't make it take stain right. So I'll start to apply what I have. So this is what I have to work with now. A lot of scrap wood. I don't have enough of plywood, so you see the old bed, that's a piece of metal. I'll be screwing that off and reusing that. So I'll be using all the hardware of the old bed. I'm just going to change this padding here to plywood, which will suit my room better and take up a lot less room. But I'll tell you the problem I'm having now. I was using that there for a square. All the boards I have is nothing really square. And the problem with the headboard, there's a cheap out shite plywood there. So what I decided to do, I've that resting on the radiator bracket. I'm going to use the spirit level now to get a cut square. I haven't got nothing to cut it dead square. So I'll use the spirit level now and draw a line and cut it. Put it into position. Level it out so I can get a straight edge. Cut it down. Screw it to the wall. I'll then put on the bits of hardware that's going to hold the side bits. So the whole idea, I need to really lift this bed out. If I want to get carpet and stuff, it has to come apart. That's why I'm using the old bed hardware. Normally I'll make a bed, doesn't move, but doesn't have to move because it's always built in the corner. But this is not, this has to be come out. If I get elderly, I need a hospital bed in here, then I can come out for the hospital bed. So I'm going to screw the headboard to the wall. Because it's not what I want, that's cheap plywood, I'll put a thin piece of plywood over when I'm finished as a veneer. And then it shall stain and match the rest of the bed. So that's the way of getting around that. And it means I can carry on now and do this now. It's going to block the heat out from getting up behind. So where it's on the brackets, once I've got it cut to shape, I'm going to cut out a bit. So it's still sitting in the brackets to keep everything level, because I'm working on my own. And that'll allow heat to get up underneath as well. It doesn't have to be a turbo amount of heat of that, that's just for the bed. The big one's for the room. So that's just, you know, I'll put a single radiator on there. Maybe one half the size would have done for what, just a wee bit of background heat from underneath the bed. The heating's off at night, that's going to be off at night. So it's just more or less preheating the bed. So that's on the brackets now. I drew my line. In fact, I haven't drawn that line. That's the one I'll try outside, but I don't know if the board's square. See, if you even have 1 or 2 square edges, but nothing, that's been cut. Now you see it's crooked. That's been cut before, and that's definitely been cut. But I think that's not a factory edge. I can feel it with my hand. It's not a factory edge. It's not flat. So spirit level, and I'll cut it with my wee cordless saw. Because the thing with that cordless saw, it's not accurate as in millimeters, but it's square. So if I cut along the top, outside, even if it is 1 or 2 millimeters difference, doesn't matter. So keep it nice and square. And I'll cut down the sides by a hand saw, because it's just splinter. So the first thing I do now is get this edge cut off nice and square with a hand saw, bring it in. That's just over 60, that has to come off. That's what the old wall used to be. But that's a good gauge for me, because that's roughly where my headboard's going to go. And that's just over 60 millimeters. So I must just measure from the socket. So if I ever do go to get fitted wardrobe, which I doubt, you want it to be able to fit in our cupboard. But I'd imagine if I put a unit in there, it's going to be 500 deep. But I'd like to have extra room this side. I might even move them drawers over here when that presses away. I'm undecided on a lot of stuff yet. I'm thinking now in my wardrobe, I'm thinking maybe I need 2 rails. I still have stuff in my old house that I left 14 years ago. I still have stuff in my wardrobe. God knows what's in there. It might even be Bay City Road trousers for all I know. Because I haven't been in that wardrobe in ages, but so stuff needs to come over here. So maybe I'll just put a second rail on. So we'll get this cut now, you know. This might be hard to see. So what I needed was 143. Oh, that's a way to focus this here, boys. So what I needed was 143 long. I've cut that one there square. Well, straight. Cut it straight. It mightn't be square, straight. Still straight. 143, and the wood I'm cutting down the side, the plywood, is 18 mils. So there's another 2 18 mils to add on to that. And that gets me my line over here. And when you do the like this with spirit level, the brackets are going on here. So I'll measure my measurement across there. And then if the spirit level is slightly out, the hardware lines up. Draw my line there, and then what I do there, you see where it's hacked out there, just get the spirit level and set the spirit level normally, and just a matter of getting a level line. So whenever that's all cut out now, it's about that in square. And then, so I'll cut out these 2 cuts now, and then I'll mark where the brackets are, and cut out a wee bit out here, allow a bit of heat up. So that's how I cut now. I could just screw it up in the wall if I'd been a bit on the brackets, but the brackets aren't going to take the weight. It just holds everything level with me. If there's 2 people here, you wouldn't have to put on the brackets. But I'm going to have my bed just slightly above that radiator. It's going to be about it. So the side of the bed's going to go down to that depth, and then the slats of wood are coming slightly above, because you had to leave room for the heat to travel. So she's level enough there now at that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to mark now where the brackets are. So there's a bracket there roughly. So if I go in there, I'm going to cut out this bit here. So this is not accurate here. Cut out that bit there. And what I'll do now is, if I cut out that much wood there, it's not high precision this here, boys. I cut out this section of wood here and leave it on where the brackets are. And then when I bring it back now, that'll allow heat to get up under the bed. I almost made a mistake. There's a wee bit of metal has to screw on here to hold the bed. I don't know exactly where that is, so I need to keep a bit of that wood there. So I can cut this out and cut that out. I might cut out with jigsaw and keep it curved. If you put curves in, wood's stronger rather than, so it doesn't matter if it's a wee bit haggard. So I'm going to curve them corners off, put a bit more strength. So there's a cut out there now. That's for the wee metal bracket. See here over here, you've got a bracket there. You've got one there in the middle and one on that side. So they just go on around these screws there, like. It's just a matter of getting the measurements right. So the metal of the radiator sitting here, them brackets are screw on here. The wee one in the middle will go on there, probably up a bit here. Another one over there. So we'll get this in place now. So then you get the idea now. So what I need to do now, I'm going to screw it to the wall, but I'm going to put that on maybe 6 screws to the wall, so the weight's not going on the radiator. It's only touching the brackets to help me set things up, but the actual weight's going to be the screws to the wall. So I'm going to drill 6 holes and hold out the wall with 6 holes. Maybe I might even put a 7th one there. Maybe up in 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would do. I'll drill 5 holes. That'll hold it. And then when the bed's finished, I'll put nice plywood over the top of that. Veneer or maybe some carpet tiles. We'll see what it looks like. But I'm not going to stain that wood. It won't match the rest. It's very shite wood, that. But I'll do the job, like, do the job. So I just use a normal bit. And a wee cordless bit's almost blunt now. And just guess at random, guess. I don't necessarily want the, when I'm putting on the thing, I don't want the screw right behind the bracket. So we'll keep it on about here. Keep it on a couple of inches. So it's pretty blunt, this bit now. Because what I do, I drive around the wall. So that's in the plaster. The plaster's pretty soft there. And then when I go in with the big drill, the marks there. So I'm putting that right into the plaster. I'd rather keep it underneath the bracket if possible. If you go on top, the wood could still spark. It wouldn't matter. I don't know exactly where the wee bracket's going to go, you see. Put it to the one side. Bracket goes in the middle and put it to one side. Because that bit of wood's taking the right bit of weight, like. That's the middle of the bed. But I imagine the bracket might be up here whenever it's I'm putting it on. So I'll take this board away now, and the marking should be on the wall. There's my wee marks now. So I just put the big drum out to them marks. So although it destroys your bit, it's a handy way of doing it. So that's her there now, like, that's the job. And is it level? Is it level? People will want to know after all that hassle, is it level? Come on, focus in, focus in. She doesn't want to focus in when it's right. See if I was wrong. Oh, it'll be high definition. So it is level. And they'll be asking, is it plumb? Is it plumb? People will be asking this. Look at that. See? No need for squares or measuring diagonals and protractors and all that there. There you go. Oh, slightly out there, boys. Hold on, it's not on it. There. Yeah, look, see, that's the job. So, because if I was making the whole entire bed myself, it wouldn't matter if it was a centimetre out. But because I'm using the old bed frame and the slats of wood, it has to be exact. So what I have to do now is get the exact distance from there to there and get them on that headboard in the same place at the height that I want. So I'll have my mock-up up. That's where I set this out here. So if you see that's sitting there now, like, she is higher than what that middle bracket is. Let me get the middle beam out here to see. So these middle feet's going to be no good to me. It's not going to be high enough. I'm going to have the bed higher. This bed was very low. But going by the bracket, the slats of wood are coming out roughly where the top nut is. Top nut. That's the height. So if I want a certain space above my radiator for heat to get out, I'll go by that top nut. And that's close enough. Close enough there. This is all guesswork here. I drew a couple of lines. I drew one line going by the height of the spirit level first to just see where it came out. And it wasn't the high. Drew another line underneath the spirit level, came out there as too low. And then I put the spirit level side on and I come up with that line. And if you line it up here now with the side of this, that's high enough above the radiator. I can't get any more than 2 foot high because the board I have for the bottom is only 2 foot. So if it has to be below 2 foot, it has to be high enough to get these containers underneath, because that's what we use for storage. I'll put them containers underneath. And so I used a piece of plywood, a scrap piece of plywood to draw that line there. So all I did there was get this scrap piece of plywood here. I just held that up to the edge. Held it up to the edge and drew the line the inside, because that's the thickness of the plywood from the side, and that means it should line up then, close enough like. Same with that side. Just draw on. It's very hard to see the lines in that wood. It's usually a scrap piece of wood like. Not be that far out. The interesting thing I noticed there, you see here when you take it out, these big screws have also got holes. So it's just not the wee tiny ones. But as far as the big screws go, you just get a bit the size of the hole, but you don't want any bigger because you don't want to take the threads off. And keeping it straight, just go on a bit. Make it a wee bit deeper there. And then when you put these 2 screws on there, she'll cut into the wood and threader itself. You can feel it cutting into the wood. So that's actually adding a lot more strength into it, rather than just them wee 4 screws. So you see that that's hitting against the wood now. I have to use the Allen key. So that makes it a lot stronger. Need two hands, or a proper set of Allen keys. So you can hear it cutting in like. So I've done that side already. But these have to be loose to get the sides on. So that's the headboard done now. So what I have to do now is see about the sides now. So the sides is just a duplicate of that. Whatever length that is there, I'll cut out plywood that length. And I'll have to measure down exactly what this is here. It doesn't have to be exact, as long as I've got the same whenever I put on the plywood. So if I have 2 inches there, it has to be 2 inches there. Or it might be just the same things on a spirit level. I like to use items instead of measurements. If you use items, you can't go wrong. So if I get a side piece cut now, I'll not make it no deeper than that. I'll see what scraps I have now. All I need is 2 runs. And because that metal there, strengthen it up as well. See, the other thing when you DIY and all, you get to know pieces of wood. People might think this is weird, but you get to know pieces of wood. You know where they came from and all the rest. And this is the side of my old bed. It's much, much stronger than what this is. I really built it strong. You see how many layers of wood, and it's all glued together and all. But because it's glued together, I can't get it apart. But I'd like to use that in my new bed, because that's got history. We Shadow and we Lucy, they slept in that bed, and I'd like to try and use what's left of that bed. That's the bit you would have seen when you walked in the room. But I don't think it's too much weight for that many catches to hold there. So I'm thinking I might do it a bit shallower than that, because I want to be able to use this. Anyway, it's just a board like, but it's actually got damaged a wee bit too. Whenever it's stained, it'll be alright. So I might try and get that piece of wood used, but it means if I use that piece of wood, everything else has to be cut to match. If I didn't use that, if I could get them boards off, I'm thinking then it could have. If I go to split it with a screwdriver, just going to smash the plywood. The glue's stronger than wood. The wood will just splinter. So I'm not quite sure, but I'd like to use that piece of wood again. If I wasn't, if I was building the bed permanently, I could use it as it is. But because I'm using this mounting system here, I don't know. Maybe I could cut down that whole thing with a saw. Although it's thick at the bottom, I might get away with cutting down with a saw through the 3 layers, use the electric one. And as long as I keep that bracket, as long as this bracket here is up in this part, I might get away. I'm going to try. I'm going to soon have to stop this. It's getting too dark. I might just wire some lights up this evening. Get lights in this room. The lights are in the wrong place, but I might just put the new lights in the old place and then change them next year when I get more time. You see this bracket's back a bit. It's not level. It's adjustable. So what I've done here for handiness, I've measured where the screw goes in rather than that. So if I measure up there now, it's 6.5 centimeters. 6.5 centimeters to screw. So I've measured up 6.5 centimeters, and then it's an inch back. I measured an inch back here. If I drill the hole like I did before on the headboard and see if that screws into the wood on its own, because that's all they have there. They have no metal fasteners. Later on then I can always put wood screws on your wood screws on to make it stronger. But I'll do this to begin with. Hopefully it'll work. I'm going to have to stop shortly. It's getting too dark. You see, that's MDF. They have their mesh screwed into the MDF, and then these wee screws screw into that. So below them there is wee threaded things, because MDF has no strength. I have tried that one, screwing straight into the plywood. It's very tight. Plywood's going to hold it no problem. So what I've done then is drill my first hole. I put a wee bit of tape on my drill. That's how deep, because you don't go, the screw is almost the full depth of my wood, so you could drill the whole way through. and it has to be clean. You have to get all these sawdust out, so I'm putting it in the middle, roughly, so I can move it back and forward. So it's getting too dark to see now. So you get the idea, like, but it's getting too dark. Everything's black and I can't see. No matter holding the drill straight. And when you start off, you have to put a bit of pressure on it to start the threads. Only for 1 or 2 turns. Put a bit of pressure on to see bites. It's not just by biting out. And then once the bite's in, you can put it in. I need to get a bigger Allen key, make it easier for me. It's very tight as you go down. So you get an idea of how tight it is when you put it in, if it's how strong it is. If you had cheap plywood, it wouldn't grip the same. This is good plywood here. They don't make plywood like this anymore now. So that's, you see how tight that is. Handy for the cordless drill doing this, but you never get the feel through a cordless drill the same. So I know there's no problem. I could have tried to drill a bigger hole and put them in, but it would have been harder to get the precision right. So going by the way it was, there's a gap at the front, so that's right at that. So there's the other hole there now. Once I get them lined up, I'll just drilling the rest then. So the next drill bit now will go here in the middle of that hole on that line. But I'm going to cut now and take the lid out because it's getting too dark and I just can't see. I might get see if I get them lights wired up. But the lights in the roof are all the wrong place, but I could stick the new lights in the old holes just to get this place lit up, because it's going to be a long time before I get that roof finished. But I need lights. So we'll leave it there now at that. And then the other one's the same. And then it's just a matter of getting this lined up, taking that off of the 3 screws. And then we'll cut the bottom piece. I might cut the bottom piece outside now, but it's still daylight outside. And then if it's pushing the rain tomorrow, I can finish building this inside.